Hey everybody, it is Friday. You know what that means. It is Masterclass Friday. I hope you all have been tuning in, watching my pals as they have been walking you through some excellent educational programming here on Behance and YouTube for Adobe Live Masterclass Friday. Well, I'm here on the tail end to help you all out with some illustration, as always, okay? And listen, I try and keep things really varied on this show. I want to mix it up. I want to show you a lot of different things. But those of you who know me well know that when it comes to my favorite subject matter, well, today is one of those days that touches on that, which is, of course, drawing the figure, drawing people, drawing characters. And what we're going to do today is we're going to revisit a topic we covered a little while ago, about a year and a half ago, and just follow up on that and do some quick drawing today, some quick sketches to help give you some ideas for how to add more life, more energy, more excitement to your character poses, okay? Because a lot of the time, what I see, especially with artists who are just starting out, they're starting to really come to grips with how to draw the figure and everything. They're learning proportion, they're starting to figure that out and figuring out how to sort of turn the figure in 3D space, you know, and understand it in terms of volumes and all that. Well, one of the problems they have is that the poses that they choose for their characters wind up looking very robotic and very stiff. And we're going to try and work on a little bit of that today and help you sort of loosen up and find the gesture in a pose. And you could do this, you know, on paper. You could do this in Photoshop, do it in Fresco on the iPad, whatever you want. Really just going to be drawing with pencil today, so it's easy peasy. All right, so anyway, quick hello to some folks who are joining us over here. I see in the chat over on Behance. Remember, I'm following the live chat on Behance. That's BE, as in to be or not to be, be.net/Adobe Live. So that's where you want to go if you want to ask me a question during the chat. And that's one of the beautiful things about these live shows. They're live. I'm here, you're here. Ask me a question and I can answer it right here in the chat. So what's up, Cody? Nice to see you. Umacorn and Afroha, hello. Thanks for the nice words over on Instagram, Afroha. Always leaving me some nice comments. I appreciate that. Marie, hello. Cryo from Ireland again. What's up, Cryo? Nice to see you. Got some good friends who moved to Ireland a couple years ago. I see also Steve. Hi, Steve. Nice to see you as well. Thanks for being here. Barbara, nice to see you. Gareth, nice to see you, Gareth. Leah, hi, Leah. Good to have you with us. And I think I said hi to Cody, but I want to make sure I did because Cody, great artist. Very cool that you're here as well. All right, gang, let's jump into this, okay? Now, I'm working in Photoshop today, but like I said earlier, you can do this anywhere. You can draw wherever you like. But of course, since I am in Photoshop, I do have to mention brushes because I will be drawing with a brush, and that will be a pencil. And I'm just going to open up this Summer 2022 brush update. Pardon me, Winter 2022. There we go. Winter 2022 brush update. Why? Here's the answer, the Tilty Pencil variant. This brush right here is such a good pencil and I just love to draw with it. And so we're going to be doing that. We're going to be drawing with the Tilty Pencil variant. It makes me happy, this brush. It makes me happy. So just moving my layers back in place. Let me show you what it looks like. I can draw lines that are fine, and I can, as I tilt my pencil, look at that, I can shade and do all that business, all with the same tool, okay? Point it in any direction and draw whatever I want. So this is a very realistic pencil. One of the best I ever made, so I want you to enjoy it. Go and grab it. Kyle, how do I do that? Go over here to the little drop-down menu, go to Get More Brushes, okay? Simple as that. Sign in with your Adobe ID, download the Winter 2022 brush set, and find those Tilty pencils, okay? Alrighty. Ready? Over here in the top right corner, you will see a list of poses that I have selected for the show. And what I'd like you to do in the chat is tell me which one you want to start with, okay? I'm going to pull this up a little bigger so you can read them. Person sitting on a chair, person standing in line, person running fast, person holding a coffee while chatting, person pulling a rope, person kicking a ball, and person reacting in fear. Which one do you want to start with, gang? You tell me, and I will draw it. And what I'm going to do, here's the way it's going to work. I'm first going to draw sort of the stiffer pose that I see all the time, and then we're going to crank it up, okay? Crank it up to 110 and make it a lot more interesting. All right, so I'm counting on you folks. I want to know which of these you think is the way to start. I'm going to be looking at the chat over here in Behance again. YouTube, if you want to chime in, go for it, but I'm probably not going to be keeping track of that chat as much as I'm keeping track of the chat in Behance. All right, well, the first person to comment is Leah, and she says, holding a cup of coffee and talking. All right, the next one was kick that ball, baby, says Bruce. All right, so Cryo also liked the kicking. So we are going to start with the cup of coffee, and we're going to move on to the kicking, and then we'll keep going from there. All right, so person holding a coffee while chatting. Now, this is what I'm going to see most of the time from people, okay, is something where we have a figure, and they're going to have their arms straight out like 90 degrees, okay? And there's going to be a little coffee there. Whoop, there's their coffee. Okay, and maybe they'll have a gesture of some kind. All right. And legs will be sort of together like so. And that'll pretty much be the pose, okay? Now they'll go ahead and they could flesh it out, and it could be, you know, it could be anything. Could be a man, could be a woman. Does not matter, all right? But once you've got the bones in place, okay, for your illustration, right? The bones being this sort of rough sketch here, okay? Then whatever you do from this point forward, right, if it's going to conform to what you've already laid out here, well, you're kind of stuck with the stiffness of this pose, with this stiff pose here. And this is not going to do much to make your illustration feel lifelike, feel interesting for the viewer. Okay, this is really not going to do much. Right? Even if I had a little bit of interesting action there to the legs at the bottom, right? Get them all bunchy and foldy and all that. Maybe these pants are too big for this person. Whatever. That just isn't enough. Okay, this is still going to be a stiff and boring pose. Stiff and boring, stiff and boring. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes it. Okay. Talking with a coffee. All right. What can we do? What can we do to make this work? Well, here's the thing I'm going to say right at the top for everybody. Always, when you have the opportunity, use your own body and act out what it is that you want to draw. Okay? Imagine that you are the person standing, holding a coffee, and having a conversation, maybe with a really good friend. You're probably going to be more animated, gesturing more. Okay? What are some of the things we do when we talk and we're having a conversation? All right, let's think about it. Number one, target area number one is the head. Well, sometimes we tilt it one way or the other. Okay? Forward, backwards, left or right. Okay? We turn shoulders, we drop one shoulder, we raise one shoulder. So this is target area 2 right here, shoulders. All right, let's go for the other main target areas right here, the hips. Okay, shifting the weight from one side to the other, from one leg to the other, putting one foot then, in order to accommodate, putting one foot forward, okay, while the other stays back. What about the feet? Can we rotate the feet out one way or the other? Okay. In addition to shifting forwards or backwards with legs, can we rotate feet, right? Coming back up to this area, okay, think about the fact that your hips move independently from your shoulders, okay? And in here is where you can twist, right? You've got that squishy bit in the middle, squishy, squishy, right? So you've got a separation between the hips, you've got a separation between the rib cage, right? And the shoulders up here. You can twist. So when you're talking and holding something, are you standing perfectly upright like this and talking like a robot? No. You gesture, you bend, you twist, you turn, okay? Making this more animated, more interesting. What can you do to the hands? Can you take the hand? Can you splay? Okay? Keep these two fingers together and take the pinky and first finger and push them away. Spread that thumb away too. Okay? This makes it more of a gesture that's more interesting, more exciting. Okay? Look at all these things we can do. So we've got the head area, we can tilt. Okay, we can turn. Got the shoulders to tilt and turn, drop one, raise another. All right, hips, twist, turn, push the foot forward, push the foot back, turn the foot out. All right, look at all these lovely things we can think about doing. So let's just slide this person over here. And let's take another stab at it here with a different mannequin. We're going to draw the same kind of thing. We're going to do a mannequin, okay? And we're going to make it more interesting. Hi, Unicorn. Yes, the list is right there. You can use the list, and we'll look at it again in a moment after we do the kicking, which is the second one. Okay. Yes. All right. Add whiskey to the coffee, says Steve. That's a good idea. That makes the drawing more interesting. Although we wouldn't really know there's whiskey there, would we? But anyway, look at me. See, it's just a sketch, but I can't help like starting to work on the hand and try and get that better. Oh my gosh. Somebody help me. Okay, don't worry about that. Now we go from here to an improved drawing. Okay, at least in theory, right? Wish me luck. All right, so we've just talked about all the ways we can make this better. So we're going to draw a different mannequin now. Let's start by thinking about what we're going to do with these big areas. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to tilt the head, okay, like this. It's going to be more of an angle. All right, so this represents the vertical center of the face. Okay, so I've got a 3/4 view and I'm tilting it, and it's also going to be tilting away from me a little bit. Okay, the eye line will be up here, the jaw will be down here. Okay, so we're going to tilt that head to the side and away a little bit. All right, this is going to be way more interesting. All right, that's first things first. Put the ear down here so we can really understand that that's what's happening. Now, as for the body, we want to make that gesture more interesting, right? So I'm going to take my arms and I'm going to enact this. I want to imagine that I'm holding a coffee and hey, look at this. I've got one right here. Now imagine I'm talking to somebody and I'm tilting my head, okay, and talking like this. All right. So in that case, I'm tilting with the coffee on this, holding with the coffee, tilting in that direction, okay? So I'm going to switch things up. I'm going to take this coffee, I'm going to put it out here, all right? And I'm going to make these shoulders so that one dips right here, okay? Now, I have an opportunity to do something interesting here where I can do a sort of an S-curve kind of situation, okay? And I can have the angle of the shoulders, okay, balanced with the angle of the hips by having them go in different directions, okay? And if I were to do that now, stand up and do this for you, what you'd see is that hip that's higher up, okay, it's going to make this leg most likely straighter, okay? straight on down. And it's going to make this leg come out. Okay? So I've got this foot facing me, and this foot facing out that way. Okay? Meanwhile, go ahead and take this and we'll just slide it on up a little bit. There we go. We're gonna have some room for everything. So we're gonna have a nice pop forward here, pop back here, and then down we go this way. See that? Already way more interesting. All right, now I've got my coffee here, right? So this shoulder's up. And usually I'm kind of using my elbow to kind of rest against the side of my body a little bit, just to support the weight of the cup and to comfortably hold that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bit of foreshortening. If you add foreshortening in your poses, this is more interesting than having all the limbs completely visible in their full length. Okay? It says help Kyle. I'm not sure what that means. Is anything wrong, folks? I think the stream is working just fine. I don't see any issues. Well, let me know. I'm going to angle this coffee out just a bit, this mug. Okay? Angles really make a difference. Having things straight up and down is never interesting. So I'm angling this out. Okay, we're going to have the hand tucked behind there. All right, so we got that happening. And see, I'm just kind of building around right now. Okay, building around. The torso there, right? So I understand what I'm doing here. And up we go, and up we go. Excellent. Okay, now this hand, this is going to be gesturing, right? So what I can do is I can, again, with foreshortening, I can have the hand be here, and we're going to do the same thing we did a moment ago where we have it splayed, right? But I'm going to go even bigger with that, okay? And there we go. Okay, so this arm. See what we've done there? Ba-boom, ba-boom. And then down we go here. And now we have this leg out here. Okay. And look at the difference this makes, right? Look at the difference. Very, very different pose, okay, from where we just were. And tilting that head, okay? And of course, if you want to get in the nitty-gritty, you would have the facial expression be more interesting, right? Everything you can do, anything you can do and everything you can do to animate and bring life to that character. Have the hair kind of flip a little bit, like so. Okay. All right, now let's look at the difference. What do you think, gang? What do you think about how we use that little formula to bring more life to the pose? What do you think? this is working, isn't it? This little system works. Right? What were those areas again that we addressed here to see if we could make things a bit more interesting? We had tilting of the head, right? Either turning or tilting, okay? You got the asymmetry, which is always a big thing. Asymmetry is a great thing to mess with. For the shoulders, one up, one down, okay? Same deal with the hips, didn't we? We popped a hip up and we popped a hip down. We shifted a leg forward, right? And we kept one sort of back. In fact, I could probably do more to really sort of make that feel more sort of pushed back, you know. I need to look at my perspective and get that working. I could even push that leg back in space. So that the heel is back here while the heel here is forward. So we can see that? That works even better, right? All these little things you can do, right? So we got the pushing of the legs forward, back, turning out, okay? And now in the nitty gritty, what? We take the hand and we splay, right? We splay the hand, fingers, I mean, okay? That's a really good trick. And what else did we do? We angled the mug, but here and here, foreshortening. So if you just take this pose, you'll notice that what it's full of are diagonals, okay? And things that move one way and then the other on the way down the figure. Okay, all those diagonals and those twists and turns make for so much more interesting drawing. Do they not, gang? Bruce says that movement. Awesome. Yay. Foot feels better, says Bruce. Yeah, you know, you got to make these kinds of changes. You got to adjust, right? Don't commit to something that isn't right? Well, there you go, folks. That was person holding a coffee while chatting. Okay, so we got that one. We got that one right there. Okay, so let's just hide that one. And now it says person kicking a ball. I'm glad we're doing this one next. Let me know in the chat what you want to do after the person kicking a ball, because we'll do another one after this. But for the person kicking a ball, I'm glad we're doing this, and here's why. This brings up an important thing, which is choosing a camera angle. Choosing a camera angle for the character that you're drawing and getting the most impact out of that pose. Now, as you can imagine, when we just talked about a moment ago, foreshortening, something like kicking a soccer ball, okay? Well, this gives you some opportunities to do some interesting things with foreshortening, because if you've ever kicked anything with force, you know that what happens is certain parts of your body move forward, certain parts of your body move back, and they do this in coordination with one another, okay, with opposites, right? The force in one direction pushing against another and counterbalancing and all these other good things. And that could look interesting from various angles. Now, this is what you don't want to do. Let's first start, as we did before, with what you don't want to do, okay? Here is a person kicking, and look, I'm even going to add a bit of action here. Okay, it's not going to be totally static. All right. Kick. Kick. All right. There's your kick right there. What do you think? Exciting? Or dull? How's that one for you? Now, I know you've seen drawings like this, right? Okay. Not great. Not too exciting. Certainly not terrible. I mean, that could work, right? Could work. We see that there's some different parts of the body moving and there's balancing going on and all this kind of stuff. Okay. Hey, Brian. Thanks for joining us. Nice to see you. Brian Williams here. Hello, Brian. I believe that is not the Brian Williams of the NBC Nightly News. Okay, we are going to improve this. We're going to improve this. How? Well, like I said a moment ago, camera angle could go a long way here. Now, this sort of basic profile is always the go-to for a lot of people to do anything when you draw, because you can kind of understand the parts that move, and you can see the full length of each limb, right? From shoulder to elbow to hand, from hip to knee to ankle to foot. We can see the full length of everything, right? And we understand what's going on. That makes it easier to draw. But the easiness doesn't necessarily translate to interesting, all right? What do we do to fix this problem? Now, we could do this. We could exaggerate, right? And lean that body way forward and bring this arm up and put this head down, okay? And bring this leg way up like this. I'll make this a little bigger so you can see. And get this foot up on the toe. Okay? And obviously, that's already way better. Lots of action, lots of excitement. Okay, big twist. Bam. Okay? So that's, if you're doing a profile kind of solution, just look at what that does. Okay, great. It definitely works. All right, and that's just taking the basic motions for each part of the body and pushing them to a much more extreme, okay, version. See that? A lot of action, a lot of movement, a lot of excitement. Okay, and get that foot off the ground. Bam. Okay, so that's fine. But is there anything else you could do? Is there anything else you could do with the foreshortening, which we talked about a moment ago, to make this more exciting? Now, this could work. You know, it depends on the story you're telling. If there's something where you need to show this angle in order for things to make sense, fine. If that's the case, then don't do this. At the very least, try and push to something like this. But with foreshortening, we have other options and with other camera angles, okay? Let's see what we can do. Bruce, you're way ahead of me. You're right. Yes. What about a front view of this? Yes. Crazy foreshortening. You're exactly right. A slight angle to it. Okay, so it's not totally straight on, but yes, that's exactly where my brain is going, because imagine that extreme foreshortening. Isn't that fun? Isn't that exciting? So let's give it a try. Here we go. All right, now if you've ever kicked something really hard, what happens with your upper body? You can see it happening here, right? There's a bend forward, okay? And one of the reasons for this is so we don't fall over backwards, right? Think about everything you do with your body and how you're always having to make sure that you stay upright. Well, this is why you lean forward when you do squats and things like that, right? It's to make sure that you're not just falling over. So with a big kick like this, I want to pitch the body forward. And if you've ever kicked anything hard, you also know that your head is down as you're looking where you need to kick, okay? And after the follow through, you pick it back up again. So we've got an angle where you see the top of the head, okay? And the eye line is way down here, okay? So there's an ear up here. And again, you can tilt the head to make it even more interesting. So we can take that head and we can make sure that the angle is more like this, so we can have an ear here and an ear here. And now we're already doing something interesting. So angling that head, okay, down towards the leg that's kicking. Kick with the right foot this time. All right, now, just like with running, if you kick with the right leg, the left arm is going to project forward with that kick, okay? Try it. You'll see what I mean. This is what feels natural, like running. And so, if that left leg's going to come forward, and what I'm going to do is, before I handle the limbs, I've got this angle for the torso here, okay, shoulders. And there's going to be a rib cage back there, okay? And then there's going to be a nice bend right here, okay? As the rest of the body now bends forward to accommodate that leg coming forward, okay? And then what we can do is we can get that leg up, right? And we can put it so that the foot is maybe somewhere like here, okay? And it's going to be larger than you might expect because of foreshortening, okay? Like so. So if we draw that first, we can kind of do everything else to follow behind it. So what I'm going to do is just imagine that I'm coming back to a hip like this, and everything has to fit in that space, okay, as I go back. So there'll be a knee like here, okay, calf here, and that is going to be what happens right there, okay? There's that foot coming forward. And to make the silhouette interesting, I make sure and break the silhouette right there with the foot, okay? Put some cleats there. I don't know the pattern they use anymore, but I can just sort of guess at something like this. And we take this shoulder here, right? And with our own body, with my own body, I can imagine what it's like to kick and what happens to my arm as it comes back. It is more foreshortening. This is moving back away from me. Okay, back that way. And again, here's that magic splay, right? Kablamo. Can put another hand right here, and that can be a fist. Okay. And the other leg is doing what? It's moving away from us here, right? Far away with the foot all the way back there. So again, same kind of trick. I just can figure out where's that knee and build back from there. Okay. Here I didn't add that shin guard, which I would probably have to do here. But look how much smaller I make this foot all the way back here than this one, okay? So now we take the top of the head and we add some action with the hair. Whoop. And there is a pretty exciting angle, okay? Pretty exciting angle. Whoosh, there's that big kick. And then the ball flying towards us. Okay? So you see what's possible with a bit of foreshortening. Okay? Now it takes some planning and it takes some thinking, obviously, working in this kind of way where you're going backwards in space, right? And yes, I know this takes a lot of practice and it's something you gotta work on, but this is the next phase you want to get to when you start getting comfortable with proportions and all that, is to start thinking about how do I get the most out of a pose, okay? And same thing as before. What did we do? Same elements, right? Tilt the head to the side and down away from us, okay? One shoulder higher than the other. Nice angle there. Foreshortening, moving that arm back. More extreme foreshortening, moving this leg forward towards us, right? Kablam. This leg moving back, okay? Diagonals, every which way you look, right? All these good little things make for quite a different drawing, okay? And then once you do something like this, you can think about, what if I rotated it just a little bit more to the right, or a little bit more to the left, or had the camera angle down below, etc. There's all these things you can think about to make that work. Okay, so that's great. There we go. Person kicking a ball. What do you think? Successful? What has helped you with learning foreshortening, says Bruce. Good question. Well, if I may, this is what helped me. Thinking about what happens to simple primitives. Simple primitives are cubes, cylinders, pyramids. And thinking about anything that you draw it in those kinds of terms. So if I have an arm that is comprised of a cylinder and a sphere, where there's a point where the elbow, point of articulation, and another cylinder for the forearm coming towards me here, so that arm is slightly bent, if you can imagine it, and another sphere for the shoulder. So thinking about this as being the construction of an arm, if you will. Okay? Then what I can do is I can take those simple primitives and I can I can turn them in space. Right, so let's take this for example, this shape. What happens to a cylinder as it moves towards you? I'm going to see more of the bottom of it. The length will diminish. Okay, as it's tilting away from me. Right, so I'm going to see more of this surface here. It's now turning into a slightly wider oval, right? A wider oval. Makes sense? And what if I tilt it even more towards me? Then it becomes even more circular. And this is the shape that it takes, okay? And if it's facing me directly, I see a perfect circle for that bottom face. That bottom plane, okay? The face of it. And if it's slightly wider on the top, I might see a bit of that shape behind it, okay? But it's rotating here, it's rotating, and from the side view, what we're seeing is it's doing this. Here's the side view. We're looking at this, okay? My eyes are here, and I'm seeing it right here, okay? If this is my eye line, then if I see this, right? Call this B, call this A, and we'll call this C. So this is C, and then for B, this is more what I'm seeing, okay? Right? That's what this is. So this is not quite a perfect circle. It should be more ovular there. And then for this, I'm seeing even more of it, right? So the angle here, this angle is like this. Okay? And that's what's going on. And if it's completely upright, we're getting something closer to this, although that's pointing slightly away from me. Now, when I think about things in those terms, that's how a leg makes sense, that's how an arm makes sense, anything. I just sort of shorten it, thinking about things in terms of simple primitives. I hope that's helpful. Okay, and that is why we do these master classes, because we can pause for a live question like that and hopefully explain things a little bit like that. I think that's what we want to do. That's the point of doing these. Okay, now let us go on to the next one, which was person reacting in fear. All right. Well, let's go for it. A person reacting in fear. Ready? All right, for this one, again, what I would see most often is somebody saying, ah, okay, but as always, you know, we'll see things like a straight up body, okay, the head, they might be leaning back a little, hands up, okay, maybe the legs are a little bent. Ah, help. Okay, and by this point, you know, I don't have to draw the whole thing for you to get the problem here with what's going on. You understand why this is not that exciting, right? Yikes, I'm scared. Okay, so there you go. All right, now, not great, right? It does the trick, but sure could be better. What do we need to do? All right, again, now this kind of situation, you have options for camera angles, right? So one of the things we can think about is the camera angle. Now, you could have this same pose from this angle, okay? And like I said, this is usually people's preferred sort of thing to do, is kind of throw something in perfect profile. And if not that, to have something where you're kind of right here. full on front view. Okay, super boring. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to pick a better camera angle, all right, or a better position for the body. But we also need to think about what would be more interesting to show somebody reacting in fear. Now, one of the things you actually do when you react in fear, imagine yourself reacting in fear to something. One of the things we do naturally as people is we cross over with one arm, usually the dominant arm. Why? Well, we're protecting ourselves. We're protecting our face and our head, okay? So if you ever scared somebody, you notice one of the things they do is they, in addition to sort of turning away, they hold an arm up, okay? And a lot of times, another arm, the other arm, crosses over, okay, in the other direction. Why do you suppose that is? It's protecting vital organs, okay? 1, 2. Protecting the parts of the body that you need to survive. So one of the things you can do is draw a pose like that where there's a crisscross kind of an action and more diagonals up and down and more twisting. Right off the bat, you're getting a lot more interest there simply by reenacting the natural reaction of the person as opposed to the more sort of cartoonish reaction. So the other thing, watch somebody react in fear. What happens to their legs? Do they just stay flat on the floor? No, usually one leg comes up. Knee comes up for more protection, okay? Crosses over. This gives us a whole world of opportunity for a really dynamic drawing, does it not? So let's check that out. I see some comments about soccer players here. Cool. All right. Hey, you're welcome, Bruce. Okay, so here we go. Let's do it. We've got time for this one. We've got time for this. So instead of doing all this, right, I'm going to think about the real reactions I make as a person, and I'm going to think about an angle that would really, convey that well. So I think what might be kind of fun would be us sort of looking up towards the viewer, kind of from a lower vantage point, okay? And again, this does give me some opportunities for foreshortening, okay? So I know this is weird, but I'm actually just thinking about a foot to start with, and I'm thinking about having that foot cross over, okay? Here's a knee, here's a hip, and here's a foot, okay? Now, if I raise my foot, what happens? I usually raise that hip too. So that makes me think, okay, so this hip needs to be down, okay? And I'm gonna have this leg here. I could cross it down this way, I could cross it towards me this way, and bring it out that way, and have the foot planted here. 1, 2. So for some more foreshortening, like this. So the bottom of the foot will be here. And then we're coming back here. So I'm actually starting this drawing from the bottom. And as I do this, I can work out what needs to be done here. So we've got a cylinder here, going back to what I was just showing Bruce, right? A knee, a cylinder here, right? See that? This is more sort of like a wedge shape for the foot. See that? And we can have this other cylinder coming towards us, and then a knee right there. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, as it crosses over. Could even have it really come forward if we want. Okay? And have it sort of angled up like this, like the person's falling back a little bit. Okay, boom, boom. So, whoa. Actually, I want to go even more extreme with the foreshortening. And maybe have them turn this way. And have one arm crossing over here. Same kind of a splay, kind of a deal with the hand there. Other arm up and over. Splay, splay, splay. And that gives me room to have the face peeking out here. See what I mean? Okay, so we got this crossing over this way. We could even have them up on a toe. What do you think about that? That's kind of fun. I kind of like that. All right, so let's do this. Let's knock that back. And I've got about 5 minutes or 4 minutes to just draw this. So I think I'm just going to really go for it since we're kind of at the end here. I'm just going to draw on top of this and see what we can make out of it, okay? And you'll see once I've got this this sketch here, it's going to make my job easier. Not easy, but easier, okay? And having that shirt come away from the body there. There's that hand. Actually, that's not a very good hand. Let's make that better, sorry. Woo-woo. There we go. Okay. Yikes! That protective gesture right there. Okay. See how this is working? And then here's that that other foot right there. All right, there we go. Which is a more interesting pose? This or this? Hopefully this. Okay? There. What do you think? I hope that was helpful. Next time, give it a try yourselves. Until then, take care of yourselves. And I will say ciao for now. Take care, everybody.